Everything that breaks terms of service. Well, we're at 11 minutes. I said 6, and you said 10, and it's still later than that. So
Oh, I'm sorry. I was
no
muted.
audio from Brian. There you go.
I
You muted yourself.
you
Yeah.
should be able to hear me now. Sorry about that, guys.
That's one way to get chat talking. They want to hear you, dude. They want to hear your lovely dulcet tones.
But I
So that's
unmute
chat
myself
talking.
and start talking, and then people are like, "Wait, no, mute again."
Yeah,
I'm gonna compare it a little bit here.
Brian, you know you came off mute, right?
We were talking about all sorts of terms of service breaking things before going live too, but now we have to be good. We're waiting on the bot to ping the Discord server, which is taking kind of an abnormally long time right now.
Yeah, 11 minutes, nearly 12. Wow.
Are we gonna hit 15? I thought I was being spicy by saying 10. Apparently, I wasn't.
We might hit 15 now. We
If
might
we
hit
hit
15.
if we hit 15, then I'm just gonna manually ping the server and turn off the bot temporarily. I'm actually just gonna
You know
get
what's
ready
going
to
to
do
happen though.
that.
You're gonna ping the server, but then you'll turn the bot off, and whilst you're going to turn the bot off, the bot will ping. That's what'll happen. That's the order how
I'll
things are
turn
going to go.
I'll turn the bot off first before I do it.
No, no, you have to see if it works. You have to see if it knows that you're going to do it, and it does
Look,
it just to spite you.
but when people get double pinged, they lose their minds, right? Like it's the end of the world if you get a secondary ping from a Discord server that you have pings on for. So, let me just get ready to do this.
Bots are like printers; they smell your fear. I agree, Laligator. I agree. Bots are like printers; they can tell when something's going to upset you.
Yeah. I was just talking to Jay about how we were so spoiled with the Mi6 bot for at least a year straight. It was pinging in under a minute every single time we went live. And now it
It was
feels like we're kind of back to the prehistoric Mi6 days now. But hello everyone, welcome to the pre-show. Muzu Rides, hello, hello. Yeah, I might just have to manually ping this. Screw it.
Go on then. Go on then. You do the ping. You do
Yeah.
the ping.
Let me quickly disable this plugin. That'd be funny if I disabled this and it still pings.
Very nice.
Vogon, thank you so much for the tier 1 sub. 21 months, man. 21 months. That's a long time. That's a really long time.
Thank you, Vogon. Always a pleasure to have you around, my friend. Hope you're doing well.
That's the cage saying, is Mi6 a play of Mr. Mi6 from Rick and Morty? I believe it is, right? I believe it is.
I always assumed it was, but yeah, I'm not entirely sure. I assume so though.
I'm pretty sure it is. Like it's very similar to what the bot's logo is. It's blue face like Mr. Mi6, right?
Yeah. Okay, I need to mess up the stream a little bit for a second. Just bear with me, guys. I'm gonna ping the Discord server real quick because the bot's sick. Hey here. Oops, that's not right.
Yes, I just googled it, Static Cage, and it is a reference to Mr. Meeseeks from Rick and Morty. So there you go. Agent Hubcap says, "Can it help me take 2 shots off my golf game? Only if your name is Jerry. That's the way it is. Only if your name's Jerry."
Okay. You're about to ping lots of people. Send now. Alright. Okay. Sorry about that, guys. Should be good to go now. We'll give the ping just a couple moments so people can kind of roll in here. Then we'll get it right into it, guys. Should be a pretty good episode today.
I think all our episodes are good then, right?
Well, I mean, of course, anything that involves us is automatically good, and I don't think anyone will ever convince me otherwise.
For sure, for sure. Laligator says, "The moment I realize I'm not actually on your Discord." That's fair. You don't have to be.
Oh,
You
that's
don't
fair.
have to be.
Yeah. Join whatever Discord servers you want, man.
Very nice.
Archer, thank you so much for the 25-month subs. Automatic love, he says. Thank you very much, man. Thank you.
Automatic love is some of my favorite kind of love.
Like when you just lay there and it's automatically happening to you. Love's just all around and
Can it help me take 2 strokes off my golf game? Nice reference. Season 5 has been airing lately. Are you a Rick and Morty fan at all, Jay?
Very nice.
I am, yeah. I haven't watched season 5 yet. I've decided to rewatch them all the way through. And I think I'm on season 4 at the minute. I'll try and do it spoiler free, but I'm on the episode where the other Beth comes back.
Ah, yes. Yep.
That was the last episode that I watched.
Yeah,
So,
that's like the last episode of it, I think. the last or the second to last episode, I think.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'll catch up and
It's
see what it is over the
I
weekend.
loved season 4. I think was like some of the best content I've ever seen in my life. I absolutely loved season 4 so much.
Yeah, there is some really good episodes actually. Yeah.
Yeah.
The one where Nathan Fillion is the fly interrogating him at the beginning of the episode. I love that. I
Oh yeah.
absolutely love that.
Yeah. Oh man.
Mr. Petrov, thank you, thank you so much for the 33 months of subs. You said 33 months, absolutely get. I won't say the rest of that, but yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Petrov. We appreciate that. Tier two as well. Thank you very much, dude. Thank you.
You're too kind, Mr. P. You're too kind.
He just likes to
I was
show off.
curious. I was curious the other day. I think it was on my last Mental Health Monday stream. Geo subscribed for like 46 months, and I was curious to see what the longest
Wow.
time was. And it turned out at the time it was 46 months. So I think we're approaching 47. So that 46
Wow.
47 month is the pinnacle, the longest term subs right now for anyone that was curious. Because I was curious because
Nearly
I'm a nerd
four
like that.
years. That's really cool. That's really
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, people
Mother Ride
commenting
says,
about your poster. Wanted to kind of show off
yeah,
Modern Gaming
yeah,
as well.
it's up on the wall now. Yeah, it's finally up on the wall.
Yeah, freaking awesome, man. Freaking awesome. Got the stickers, of course, and I'm assuming they did this with everyone. But did they send two of yours? Because I got two of mine.
No, I got two of Chewy and two of Lightning, I think.
Really interesting.
I think so, yeah.
I wonder if it's like random. Why do I? Because I got two of me, but I got one of everyone else.
Lang didn't get any stickers apparently. Big sad.
Lightning and stickers? Did they only send stickers to the people that were in the stickers?
Maybe, maybe. I think all the sticker folks got all of the stickers, if that makes sense. But either way, it's a very nice thing of my keyboard to do in a
Yeah,
range. It was
no, it's
very, very
super
nice of them.
awesome. Super duper awesome. Can't wait to get that framed like you. Also,
Unknown says, "Woo, is that the my keyboard EU poster?" Yeah, well, it's a poster that they commissioned through Crash Draws. Yes, so Crash did the whole poster. We talked about it. We spent the whole of last week's stream
yeah.
literally looking at it,
If you want
which
to
was
see,
really good.
yeah, if you
It
want
was
to see
really
the
good.
poster, yeah, it was like really mundane, but also like the most exciting thing of all time. So
It
definitely
was
make
really good
sure
fun.
you go check out last week's VOD if you want to see the poster, because we spent like legit 45 to 60 minutes just going through the poster, talking about it,
Looking at
like
all
trying
the
to
tiny details.
naming out all the people, trying to find all the little like homages and logos that are just hidden throughout. It was kind of like a keyboard Where's Waldo, and it was some of the most fun I've had in a while. So
Yeah,
definitely awesome stuff.
there's some really good bits. Every time I look at it now, because now it's on the wall behind me, I look at it almost every time I sit down, and I still see little tiny details that I've not noticed before. It's
Yep.
really good. It's really good.
Yeah, no, it's freaking awesome. I cannot wait to get it framed. It looks so good behind you right now. Awesome new updated setup, by the way, Jay. Just wanted to point
I
that out.
told you it looked good. I told you it looked good.
I never doubted you. I don't think I've ever doubted you in my life. I just haven't. You always deliver. You come through with everything. You're the pinnacle of humankind, Jay.
I'm not sure that's true at all, but thank you.
Well, different strokes, different folks. Japanitrat says, "Good evening, everyone. Hello, welcome."
Hey man, good to see you, dude. Good to see you.
Yeah, Frequency says, "I'm here for the GMK bashing, LOL JK, but not really. Also the beards. Well, beards we definitely
Nice.
have for you. Some thoughts and opinions and current happenings of GMK we also have for you, and we'll be getting into that just momentarily. It looks like people are finally starting to roll in here from the ping, so we'll get on that in just a moment here, guys. Static Age can't wait to buy one of the posters. Yeah, I'm excited for them to go on sale. I'm curious how well they're gonna sell.
Yeah, I think they'll do really well. I think they'll do really well
Yeah,
because it's cool, right? It's cool. Like, it's got so many things in it,
it's
so
very
many
cool.
people from the community, and so many things. It's just really cool. I love it.
Yeah. I feel like it's one of the few things I've like obviously we have all sorts of keyboards and key sets and stuff like that, but I feel like it's kind of rare to see a product like this that like actually immortalizes the people of the community. Um I feel like we don't get enough of that. So really awesome work. Big shout out to Crash and mykeyboard.eu for kind of facilitating that. Really cool stuff.
Yeah,
And
it's amazing. It's
in,
really cool.
in the top left it says I love MX Browns. Yeah. Is Crash and Emmett? Is that like Crash's like almost signature on that? Basically, like maybe is he a really big MX Brown fan? Because that'd be pretty hilarious.
I have no idea. I thought it was. I thought when I saw that it was part of the glasses meme because he always talks about MX Brown's being good, doesn't he?
Mm.
So I thought it might be a glasses meme.
I feel like we've kind of passed the point in the hobby where MX Browns are a meme because like
They've come full circle now, right?
exactly like people like if you like you get some good MX Browns, some like maybe some vintage ones, maybe the Hyperglides if they're okay, and like you do some good lubing, you maybe you film them or something, and like people have been pretty happy about it. A lot of people like MX Browns now. It's not really a meme. It used to get like
Yeah.
you used to get like ousted from the community for liking MX Browns. Nowadays, like people are
I
like, whatever, which is cool.
I
Acceptance is big.
for sure. Yeah, I built my Gen CE with Browns. So yeah, MX Brown's stolen from an old Kinesis board. So there you go.
Yeah, I thought
I
MX.
thought MX Browns have not been around long enough to have a vintage version, similar to Vintage Black. So everyone says that Vintage Blacks came from boards before 1994, and I think the first board with MX Browns in was 1994. So I think it's kind of like on the cusp. For me, if it's older than 20 years old, then you can just assume that they're vintage, right? Because the idea behind vintage switches is that they've been heavily used. That's what you want. You want really heavily used switches because
Yeah,
that makes it smoother over time. Like new old stock switches from that kind of period don't appeal to me, but like you heavily used ones do. So
just and you gotta also remember a lot of the terminology is a little loose. Like Cherry does not recognize the term vintage for their switches, right? That's a community
correct.
thing.
Yeah.
So we kind of use it a little loosely, but it is generally accepted that switches that are like 1994 and before are quote unquote vintage. But in the sense of that, like vintage isn't necessarily better either, right? Like a lot of vintage switches, especially new old stock ones, just aren't that good because the manufacturing year isn't always as important. It often isn't as important as something like usage, right? If you have switches that have
Yeah, sure.
just been absolutely abused for 2 decades, they're gonna be really smooth. But new old stock vintage switches, from 1980s, might not actually be that good. I've had some that are quite bad actually. So
Yeah, and the thing with vintage switches is you always end up cherry picking as well.
yeah,
Like you'll get a batch of 100 and you'll end up with like 50 that are good, and the
yep,
rest will be just mediocre at the
yep,
best.
yep.
Yeah.
Yep, that's exactly how that goes.
Yeah.
All right.
What you need to do is you need to find if you're going to build a 6%, you need to find 60 boards or 65 boards and just take the that have been heavily used and just take the switch that's under the E key because that's the most used letter in the English language. So just take that one switch out of every board and build a board full of those.
Ah, that's oh man. I remember when people used to try to source all the God, what was it? It was the space. It was like a special switch from a space bar in like older cherry boards. Was it a Hero Say thing? Like there was like a white Hero Say.
The white hero say, yeah, they still go for like $100 each. Yeah.
Do they? Is that what this is? I think I have one right here actually. I was trying to figure out
Yeah.
what this was. This is like an old linear cherry switch with like a diode in it. And I was trying to figure out what that was, but it might be a Hero Say.
Ooh. Yeah, if the cruciform's slightly smaller than a standard MX switch, then it's a hero say.
Interesting. Fascinating. Sure for tuna. Thank you so much for the 20 months. Appreciate that. Okay, I think it's probably been long enough. We can start now. I assume now's probably a good time.
Yeah, I think that's fine. I think
Yeah,
that's a good time to start.
yeah, yeah. Roll me intro now. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Top Clack. I'm Quakeums. That's Jay. We like keyboards. You probably do too if you're here. Chances are. And we have some good things to talk about today. Some interesting things. We're going to be talking a little bit about the kind of current state of GMK and the way a lot of people are both seeing and approaching GMK. So that should be pretty good. Feel free to join in the conversation as much or as little as you want. We definitely always appreciate any level of Twitch interaction with the chat. We try to be pretty good about keeping track of it these days as well. So before we get started, though, Jay, how you doing today, man?
Good. I'm good. I'm tired. It's been a long day and it's too hot, but other than that, I'm all right. Just a couple of things to moan about today.
Yeah. At least your new background setup here looks absolutely stupendous. So you definitely have at least that going for you.
Yeah, it's the whole wall as well. Like the whole wall's been done. The last thing I need to do is make a new prototypist sign, which I'm going to do on a stream on Sunday, I think. Make a new
Ooh,
sign for the wall and get that put up as well. So yeah, but yeah,
nice.
posters up. We've got a little keyboard display in the background. I've got, if I move the mic out of the way, I've got a jar full of switches just here with a bit of lighting on them. Yeah, it's nice.
Ooh, very
Yes,
nice.
yep, definitely appreciate it. Love seeing the community poster in the back. Looking forward to seeing more of those in the near future. Lunar Sama's only here for the beards. I was going for kind of like a lion's mane approach today, so
Yeah, it's looking that way. Yeah, it looks good. I like it.
I don't know if good's the word I'd use, but wild is certainly something that comes to mind. Sure Fortuna, happy Friday to you guys as well. Really appreciate you guys showing up for the discussion today. Octagon, thank you so much for the 21 months. Wow. Hello, everyone.
Wow, 21 months. That's awesome. Thank you, dude. Thank you.
Karcha putting his GMK Yugo to use. Love to see that. I have mine around here too. I haven't put it on a board yet, but very much looking forward to that. Maybe this coming Monday.
Oh, nice. I haven't seen Yuga in the flesh yet. I did get Modern Dolch Lighting today as well. I did get
Oh,
Modo
that's
Light on
shipping
stuff.
now. That's cool.
Yeah, Modo
Oh,
Light. I do have one of the kits so you can see the keys. Um, looks
cool.
pretty nice. Looks pretty nice. Yeah,
Awesome.
came
Yeah.
in today.
Yugo is very yellow. Yeah, Yugo's pretty yellow. I think Yugo actually came out quite well though. I think it looks really lovely personally. But I'll show that off more on Monday's stream. We gotta talk about some GMK stuff today though. I mean I guess Yugo is GMK as well, but we gotta talk about other GMK stuff, right, Jay? We got some good things on deck. So
Yeah, yeah,
as the title of the stream probably suggests, we're going to be talking about a little bit of the GMK bubble, and is it finally starting to burst? This is something that we've kind of hinted at for a long time now, ever since GMK has slowly but surely been getting more and more popular, and the community gets larger and larger, and more people want to design and run sets through GMK. It's been quite an interesting journey with the explosion of this hobby, and as a lot of you probably already know, GMK queue times, they're very very long. We're encountering more and more delays here and there, for one reason or another. Color matching can also take a very long time. There's lots and lots of reasons that we're going to be getting in today, to be able to talk about this, and it's going to be hopefully a pretty good discussion, and hopefully we can maybe learn some things as well. Of course, chat, feel free to
yeah.
chime in into this as well. But yeah, GMK lead times, because they are approaching pretty high. I don't know the exact kind of approximate estimate. I'm sure Jay probably has a pretty good number, but it seems like we're really starting to crawl well over a year now for a lot of these sets.
Yeah, so the longest outstanding set right now, just to put it into context, is GMK Dracula. Now, GMK Dracula, can you remember when that ran? Breakums, can you remember when that ran? Just have a guess
What
without looking it up.
was it in 2020? Because I feel like it was towards the end of 2019.
It was October 2019. It ran from the 4th of October till the 31st of October 2019. And it's now the middle of July 2021.
So we have just 3 more months before we hit the 2 year mark on GMK Dracula.
Yes.
And I do realize, is it wrong for me to point out that Dracula might be kind of an outlier example just because of the color matching process on that particular set? Because that set is kind of wild in terms of the colors, and I know the color matching in particular, I think has taken quite a long time.
Yeah, I think that's fair. And if you look at the next set of keycaps that are due to come after that, I think Dracula probably is the outlier in terms of that. It probably is 4 or 5 months ahead of anything else. The next couple of sets all ran around the February March time in 2020. So you've got Perestroika, GMK Apollo, GMK Luna, GMK Bushido, GMK Wild, GMK Black Lotus, GMK Frostwitch, and a few others. They all ran a kind of around the February March going into April sort of time frame in 2019. Sorry, in 2020. So we're still talking over a year. We're still talking on average about 15 months for the longest sets and up to 21 months for Dracula, which is it's pretty long time. It's a pretty long time.
That is, in fact, a pretty long time. And this is a really interesting thing to point out, because this is not the first time this kind of thing has happened in the keyboard
No.
community. If you guys, we've talked about it before, of course, but we'll give you a brief refresher. If you guys remember back in 2016, 2017 era, we saw Signature Plastics SA line start to have a ridiculously long queue that was approaching about a year and a half mark, and sometimes even longer. A lot of you guys might not remember just because of the way the landscape is in the community today, but GMK was a lot less popular back then. It was still liked and loved, but it was a lot less popular. SA was the kind of crown jewel profile that everyone was running and using. It was definitely more popular than GMK. But the way GMK is now is, you could argue, is because of what happened with Signature Plastics, right? The SAQ time got up to about a year and a half, sometimes even more, maybe approaching the 2-year mark for some things. That's just too long for some people, and because of that, that's when we saw GMK really start to rise. A lot of sets started going to GMK because the lead times were so much shorter than Signature Plastics. So everyone kind of ignored Signature Plastics, stopped running sets, SA sets with Signature Plastics, or at least toned down a lot. And we kind of saw what we call today is the rise of GMK. And now we're starting to approach that scenario again, but this time with GMK. So that begs a lot of questions here, and hopefully some of them that we can talk about and answer today.
It does. Interestingly, Mr. Petrov raises a point that we didn't put in our list of things to talk about, but is kind of something that we might skirt around the edges of. And he says, if GMK's goes bust, it will potentially take down some vendors in the hobby around the world, given how much of a group buyer, vendor, and capital they have on their balance sheet. So to put into clarity what Mr. Petrov means by that is that all of the vendors around the world, they will run group buys, they'll take cash from customers, they will add in their own money as well on top, and they'll make a big purchase from GMK. GMK is then holding on to that money from a few weeks after the group buy ends until the set delivers, and then the buyers get their product, right? The vendors get the product and they can ship them on to the actual customers. When you're waiting 15 months, 18 months, 21 months for a return on your investment of your capital, that's a long time for any business to tie up funds, especially when it's something that correlates like a group buy, where it's customers' money that you're investing after the buying period is finished into the product. So yeah, if I think the easiest way to look at this is how many of the vendors can keep putting money into all of these extras, because you have to remember the cost of a group buy. None of the vendors make a profit on a group buy until after the group buy ships, right? Because the cost of all of the group buy sets, the cost of designer royalties, and the cost of extras is significantly more than the revenue generated through the group buy. The group buy will tend to make a profit after all of the extras ship. At which point the vendors will sell the extras on to recoup the costs that they've invested in the set. So the question is, how long can the vendors push money into sets and into GMK without having any of those sets back? And I guess Mr. Petrov's hidden question there is, are some of the vendors actually coming up against that wall? Are they going to hit a point where they can't invest any further money? And he said, God forbid a vendor isn't well capitalized. In other words, if they don't have the money behind them, if they don't have that capital there available to invest, what are they going to do? How are they going to carry on running group buys?
It's a real worry, right? It's one of many worries, I think, right now for a lot of people. Fluffy Keebs is asking, what do you think moved the preference from SA to Cherry / GMK? And I really do think it's because of the lead times, right? And one thing I think it's really worth pointing out is, you might like something now when you buy it, but will you still have the same taste 1 year from now, 1.5 years from now, 2 years from now, 2.5 years from now? And, I experienced this firsthand even back when SA was a lot more popular. I got in on round 2 of SA Pulse. I saw SA Pulse round 1. I really liked it. Saw round 2 was starting up. I bought in on that. I received it like a year and a half later or whatever it was. I didn't want it anymore. I didn't like it anymore. I didn't care about it anymore. Didn't even really open it up. I just sold it to a friend. Resold it to a friend for the cost that I paid for it. And I feel like that's not uncommon these days. I mean, the keyboard community in general is very trendy, right? We tend to like things as a group, and then we kind of move on to the next big thing. It's very much of what is hype now. And I feel like when you start to extend the lead times to as long as they are now, it's hard for things to remain as popular and as loved, I feel like, at times, because people just have to wait so long. And and whether or not you still have the same tastes, I think, that aside, a lot of people just don't want to wait 1 to 2 years for a GMK set. It's just the way it is. And because of that, I feel like we're seeing a lot of people, in fact, both consumers and even some designers, start to kind of move away from GMK in general.
Yeah.
I've seen a few people already, more or less swear off GMK for the meantime until things start to get a little bit better. Because, as we've kind of seen, a lot of people might argue that their quality has been slipping a little bit too, since we've kind of been pushing so many sets on them. The pandemic going on has definitely taken an assault on their production line. Um, but yeah, there's a lot more to get into, of course.
Yeah, for sure. And I think I think it's interesting. Like going back to the people's tastes changing. Like I can already think of keycap sets and keyboards where that's happened with me. Like just things that I've grown. My like opinions and tastes change over time. It's not something that's static, especially in this hobby. And I think very early on, when I started to look at keyboards, I liked bright, flashy colors. So I think one of the first keycap group buys I joined was SA Calm Depths. Lots of bright blues and greens on like murky gray colors and stuff. And the longer I'm in the hobby, the more I prefer a nice beige set. So, something like CRP or some OG dye subs or muted or something like that. So it's interesting to see how people's tastes change. And I guess the beauty of the hobby, which is one of the good counterpoints to this, is that the aftermarket is so robust here in the keyboard land. You can buy something and you can be pretty sure that in 18 months when it arrives, that the aftermarket, someone on the aftermarket is going to want it. And more than likely, they're going to be more than willing to pay more than the actual the group buy price, right? You're probably going to be able to sell it at a profit.
Yeah, that's a totally fair point. Um, that one Brody in chat brings up an interesting point as well. He says some people may not even be in the hobby by the time their sets ship, and that's totally true as well, right? Some people aren't even in the hobby for more than a year or two.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
And who wants to do all that waiting, man? I'm curious. Just let's get chat's opinion on this as well. Before we kind of dive even deeper into this, but what are your thoughts on GMK right now? Are you less likely to buy a GMK set right now just due to the way GMK is, or are you guys all still buying GMK like it's going out of style? Same question to you, Jay. How do you feel? Do you feel like you want GMK as much as you used to now that you have to wait so long for it? I'm
I
curious.
think for me it's a little bit different. Like I have two hats here, right? I have consumer hat and I have vendor hat. Consumer hat me is kind of very much a case of I still like GMK as a profile. It's still my favorite. Cat's still a close second. I tend not to mind waiting for stuff. Like I still join group buys every month or two, and I don't think I really think about it. Like I know they're going to turn up eventually. They're going to arrive. I trust the vendors. I know the vendors quite well. I'm usually pretty comfortable with that. From a vendor perspective, it's really interesting because, as Mr. Petrov says, that like it's difficult from a business model. If GMK were just to disappear, if GMK would just fold, almost everyone who's a vendor in this hobby would their business would probably go under because they have so much money that they hold of the customers that they've handed to GMK that they wouldn't be able to refund all of those orders. Like all of that money is with GMK waiting for that product to be produced. That's the beauty and the danger of a group buy, right? Everyone knows this going into it. They know that their money is then going to be used for the manufacturing of the product. That's kind of like known, and that's how people understand group buys. But it's still very risky and it's very difficult from that perspective. Rusty Panda TV says, "Geez, that's an unfortunate business model. Call me naive, but I assume that the profit earned on group buy sets would give the vendors enough working capital to buy extras and have profit." Uh, like no, as I say, the cost of buying the group buy sets, the cost of paying designer royalties, the cost of paying for shipping, the cost of paying for packaging, the cost of buying extras, the cost of storage, the cost of running a business in the meantime, the cost of labor to package, the cost of heating, storage, lighting, all of the utilities and everything else that comes with owning a warehouse or renting a warehouse or having some sort of space to fulfill. That all is a significant cost, and most group buys, at least in my experience, don't make a profit until after you ship and sell the extras. That's why extras tend to cost more than the group buy price because they're in stock and they're on hand,
And
they're ready to go, and you need to make the money back that you've invested in the group buy, right?
and even then, I mean, obviously I'm not a vendor, but even then, you're not really making a killing on this either, right? Like this is still, relatively low profit margins. I feel like all things considered, like vendors aren't becoming millionaires by running GMK group buys. Like that's not what's happening. And I feel like a lot of people kind of still believe that that's the case. That like you just run a key set and now all of a sudden you have a bunch of profit, but that's like not even close to the truth.
Yeah, I mean, it's not true at all. Like I've run quite a few group buys now, like significant number of them, and you don't make a profit on them until after they ship. And you have to have that working capital to invest up front. I don't mind sharing some details of some things that I'm not going to share, but I don't mind telling people that I have 7 figures invested into GMK right now, which is a lot of money. And that's money that the business hasn't generated yet because those products aren't sold, they aren't on hand. That's money that I've had to personally find and put into the business myself to cover things. So it is interesting. And this is now you're talking about a payday 18 months to 2 years down the line. This is where you aren't getting paid back for the money that you invest and potentially profit on top of that for 2 years or up to 2 years. And that's a long time. That's a long time. You don't generally invest money waiting for it to come back on a return for the percentages that you get in a GMK group buy, which aren't huge, for that kind of time. You would earn more money putting it into the stock market and getting the average 10% per annum come out of the stock market, right? That's the kind of thing where it is. Like people do this because they love providing things for the hobby and they don't mind taking a little bit of risk on board. But that's why most of the businesses in the hobby have to set themselves up as limited liability companies and they can't do it as a sole trader. Because if they did it as a sole trader, they would become responsible if GMK did disappear, for example. Whereas limited liability companies, the assets of the business would be used to cover whatever the costs were in the back end.
Yeah.
It is an interesting dynamic.
That's a really good point, and that kind of poses the question: what do you chat think, as well as you, Jay, of course? Do you think if we keep heading in this same direction, do you think vendors will start to run fewer GMK sets?
My honest view is on it is I think it will hit it's going to hit a peak in probably the next 6 months. And I think that after the next 6 months, we'll start to see the number of GMK group buys drop, is my gut feel.
Okay.
But I'm interested to see what chat feel. I'm interested to see what chat feel like on that.
Dysonodon is asking, what's your level of concern that GMK will be able to produce all the sets currently in group buy? Or will timelines continue to slip? I mean, I think realistically... I look. I try to play the glass half full kind of guy here. I have faith in GMK. I believe in GMK. They've been around for many years. We've been happily using and enjoying their products for many years. I have a hard time believing that like they're just gonna crumble. I think we're gonna get our stuff. It's just a matter of when. Will timelines continue to slip? Quite possibly. GMK in the past, it's been a while since we talked on them. Obviously, I had an episode with Andy a while back. I think that was last year. And we got some info there, but it's been a while since we've caught up with them, so I don't really know all the details. But, last we heard, they were getting new machines. They were, hiring more staff to train. And things were supposed to be looking up. But, at the same time, I almost wonder whether that's happening or not. The community is just growing and expanding so fast. And we want to run so many GMKs so fast and so often that they still just can't keep up. And, I think it was the 2019 meetup, that Living Speed Bump, Andy, of GMK, told us that, we at the time, we were kind of accounting for, like, 30% of GMK's revenue. Because, like, that was kind of when GMK was starting to explode a lot more in our community, and our community was growing a lot more. And that was 2019. The community is way different now. Like, there's gotta be a potential for us to be able to become an enormous percentage of GMK's overall revenue. And in my eyes, that would hopefully be a good thing for them, and they would probably try to pull out all the stops to try to work with our community to maybe start catching up on some of all this. Whatever they have to do to invest in more machines or staff or whatever, but like, could you imagine a world where GMK just kept up with our community and we just had like normal 4-month lead times for everything?
Like 4 to 6 months.
Yeah.
Even including color matching.
We'd be running like 35 GMK sets a month or more. And it would be fine. And like people would get them and it'd be nice. But I mean, obviously that's not reality. That's kind of a pipe dream. But I do believe in GMK. I like to think I have faith in GMK that they can definitely catch up from this. And I think there's definitely a chance that we could definitely see them kind of come back, as it were, and do a lot of good for our community, and people will be very happy with it. But right now it's sort of easy to see why some people are a little bit more hesitant to buy GMK. And I'll be honest, it's been months since I've bought a GMK set. I'm still waiting on
Yeah.
several. I'm still waiting on like 5 or 6 or 7, but it's been a while since I actually purchased one because I just don't want to wait, man. I just really don't want to wait. And
Get
like I
that.
mentioned before, I've
Get
already
that.
been through the scenario of getting something a year and a half later and not wanting it as much anymore. Obviously, you can resell things on the aftermarket, like you were saying. The aftermarket's very robust, but it's still a lot of wait time, and you're out that money, and 100 $150, not always a ton of money, but that starts to add up when you have a bunch of sets, kind of in queue as well. So
For sure, and I think GMK aren't going anywhere. Like if our business generates 30% of their profits or their 30% of their revenue each year, then they have another 70% of their business that's
yeah,
behind the scenes. We don't really know about producing everything else produced from control panels and whatever else. The GMK aren't going anywhere. So I think that's the first thing I would say. The second thing I would say around it is they're going to deliver. It's just the case of when, right? That's what it is a case of. I think most of the time the lead times are semi-realistic these days. Most of the vendors, when we get told, oh, it's going to be 8 months by Gmk, we will all round it up to 12 months because we know that there's that kind of expectation and additional lead time, and we know what's happened historically with a few sets. I don't think there's I don't think there's any vendor in the world that won't get the shipment produced that they've paid for by Gmk. I think what Mr. Petrov's point was is that some of those vendors might struggle to stay in business if they keep having to invest in those, or they're going to have to stop investing in GMK group buys, or they're going to have to reduce costs elsewhere, or they're going to have to do something, or game funding, or whatever else they're going to have to do. They're going to have to take action to make sure that they can carry on running their business. And it comes down to something as simple as basically how are you running your revenue, right? What is your cash flow looking like? It's a cash flow problem. It's a challenge around cash flow, and most of the vendors are basically playing a Rubik's cube with their cash flow, saying, right, okay, I can invest this much this month. There are these many sets that I'm running. That means that I can invest that much divided by however many sets there are. But it's not as simple as that because you can't just say I've got $10 to invest and there's 10 sets, therefore I'm going to put $1 into each. You'd think, actually, well, I'm going to put $3 into that one because I know it's going to do really well, but then that leaves less for the rest. So it's a bit it's like playing 4D chess with where they're going to invest and what they're going to do.
yeah,
It's
certainly.
interesting.
Yeah, but at this point, like I feel like as kind of wild and crazy as our community is, there's very little more that like we could do besides like maybe vetting sets like a little better in some ways. But really, the ball's in GMK's court, right? Like it's all a matter of like how they're going to handle this and in their kind of future in this because we can be an enormous part of GMK's future, and I assume they know that, right? Like it's not that like they're stupid, right? They probably know this at this point. Hopefully, they have something in the works to kind of help accommodate that. Doc2 Owned is asking, can you define what you envision as quote unquote bubble bursting? What exactly will it look like? Bubble bursting is kind of just obviously a catchy term that we're using, but more realistically, it's the sense of GMK's popularity drastically falling, seeing a lot fewer GMK sets in the works and people maybe moving over to a lot more other manufacturers and profiles, just like we saw happen in 2016, 2017 with the Signature Plastics SAQ. We're kind of seeing this happen all over again. And obviously our community is much, 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 much larger right now. And GMK may be a little bit more prepared to handle something like that than maybe, Signature Plastics is, perhaps. I'm not entirely sure. But, the reality is that GMK is going to have to catch up. Otherwise, I feel like our community will run a lot less GMK, and we won't be able to, generate nearly as much profit for GMK as we, once were.
Yeah, I think my gut feel on that one is that we will start to see, and we already have started to see some designers turn to different profiles and different manufacturing techniques to try and get their keycaps made, whether that be CAT, DCS, moving from ABS to PBT, whatever it is. I've seen quite a few people discuss, oh, I'm going to do this in GMK, and then you see the IC change a couple of weeks later, and it's now EPBT or it's now CAT or it's something else, right? I think we're going to see a little bit more of that, and I think that's not because people don't want GMK products; they do, and I think that's the good thing. I think GMK will be fine once they get the machines online, they can catch up and that'll be okay. But what it also means is it means two other things. Right? One, it means the keycap market is really healthy right now. Like people want to buy keycaps and they want keycaps to be available. But the other thing it's going to mean as well is that more and more of the competitors to GMK are going to get their day to shine. Right? There's going to be more opportunities for those other profiles, those other products, those other manufacturers to step into the limelight and take a little bit of that margin.
Yeah, yeah, and just catching up on chat when I asked the question earlier on whether people are still buying GMK and how they feel about it. Seems like some people are taking a step back here. Fluffy Keeb says, I'm just not buying GMK sets, to be honest. One Creative Mind says, I'd be more willing to buy DCS than GMK at this point, 100%. SM
Hmm.
Shark says, definitely slowed. It's yeah, Agent Hubcap says I have to really love the set to get in these days. So yeah, people may be being more picky and choosy, which is understandable, right? I mean, who wants to wait that long? Who's gonna know if you're still gonna have the same thoughts on that set, that colorway at that point in time? Mr.
Yeah,
Petrov says
yeah.
I am personally way less likely to buy a GMK set nowadays. Has to be must buy for me. Used to just be nice to have. Fair enough. So I mean, even a lot of people that like Mr. Petrov, that probably buy quite a few sets, not buying as many sets these days, and I mean that's got to tell GMK something, right?
It has, and I think the GMK are going to see that, and they're going to have to react in some way, shape, or form. There has been some changes in the back end that I can't talk about that might help vendors in the short term RE cash flow, as we talked about earlier on.
Sure.
But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how things do change. And I wonder if we would be in this position that we're in now if the pandemic hadn't have happened. If COVID hadn't hit when it did, would GMK have managed to get those machines online faster? Would they be in a position where they could have trained more operators up to produce keycaps faster as well? And lead times might only be 8 months instead of 15 months. I don't know. I don't know.
Sure, yeah, it's definitely worth pointing out the pandemic. Obviously, it's affected tons and tons and tons. I mean, it's affected the whole world. Let's be real. It's not just like it affected some people. It really did hit pretty much the whole world, and it really did hit a lot of supply chains and a lot of businesses as well. So
Yeah.
it's understandable that GMK as well as other companies are going to be struggling throughout the pandemic, right? They had to, a lot of their staff had to take a bunch of time off. They just weren't getting as much work done, and like you mentioned, they probably weren't able to get their machines up and running in that time either. So it's understandable, um, and hopefully we kind of see that start to rectify as we kind of slowly come out of this pandemic. Obviously, we're still kind of amidst a lot of things going on right now, but as more people get vaccinated and more things start to open up, and we hopefully start to stabilize, I'm really keeping my fingers crossed here, silver linings. But yeah,
Yeah.
hopefully as we kind of start to come out of this, GMK can really bounce back from this, get any
Yeah.
machine set up they need to, get the required staff they need, and can really start cranking some things out, because GMK, I feel like if they can scale up to our community, they have a pretty bright future ahead of them, and we can generate them quite a bit of revenue and keep them going and profiting for quite a long time, or at least that's the hope, right? Because let's be real, GMK is the favorite in our community. There's dozens and dozens and dozens of profiles, like we talked about on several episodes ago. We were listing off tons of them. So many manufacturers, there's different materials and yada 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 and profiles. But at the end of the day, if you had to pick one key set to kind of represent, profile and manufacturer to represent the keyboard hobby, it's gonna be GMK double shot cherry keycaps. Let's be real. So we want what's best for them, right? And I hope they want what's best for us as well.
For sure, and I think they do. Lalligate has a good counterpoint to what I said a few minutes ago. He said, if there had been no pandemic, would there be so many people buying? And I think that's a bit of a misnomer because the hobby was growing even before the pandemic hit. So I think
Yeah,
that whilst we might not see the sheer numbers we see now, I think everything that has run that's done really well would have run and done just fine on its own, irrespective of whether the pandemic had hit or not. I think the hobby would still have grown, maybe
yeah,
just not at quite the same pace. But I don't think that would have affected production timelines or anything. Yeah.
yeah. Totally fair. SM Shark says I'm way more interested in DCS now. I've purchased 2 to 3 DSS sets as well. So other
Yeah.
people, maybe now's a time where people are starting to branch out and try other profiles. Maybe try PBT if you've never tried it before. Obviously, we've seen Enjoy PBT kind of come in rise quite a bit lately. KBD fans in
Yeah.
particular is running like 8 billion Enjoy PBT sets lately. CRP obviously enjoyed pretty successful rounds 3 and 4.
Bradford was
In
huge.
DCS, starting to slowly but hopefully surely make a comeback as well. It's cool to see people branching out, right? Because for a while it really did seem like GMK was all anyone was after. And while I do think that GMK is amazing and special and definitely the community favorite, we got to have variety as well. We can't just do everything in GMK. So I'm really seeing, a lot of the other profiles and manufacturers get some love these days, and that's just great. You love to see that.
For sure, for sure. And I think that's really cool as well because you need to think about if GMK's lead times are so long, what are other companies' lead times like? I think if you look at Signature Plastics, their SA lead time is probably about 14 months. It's probably comparable to GMK. But if you look at their DCS, their DSA, their DSS, they're all around the 4 to 6 month mark right now. From order being placed after the group buy to caps being in the vendors' warehouses, and that's pretty good. That's pretty good.
Yeah, it's very
That's
good.
you know it's a nice time frame to have comparatively compared to what we used to do in the hobby. So I think that we are going to see more and more of that. Like I know that Iwane and myself, we did DCS Nightfall quite recently. We did that in stock. We didn't do it through group buy. We just bought the MOQ out and we made the caps. And I'm still shocked that that's in stock actually at Iwane store. But yeah, I think we're going to see more of that. And there's other vendors that are doing similar things as well. Like I know Canon Keys has their nice PBT, and Mike at Novel Keys, he has his own PBT. They did PBT Notion with Beep recently, and a few other things as well.
Pretty
So I
well
think,
received too.
yeah, I think that we are starting to see more and more different manufacturers step up and bring together. So more and more vendors step up and bring together different manufacturing capabilities from different companies. So yeah, it's good.
Yeah, Deported Village Idiot says, I have a lot more faith in GMK than almost any other manufacturer. I mean, Key Creative is a shit show at this point, he says. Yeah, Key Creative's struggling a lot as well. I mean, they're kind of struggling, I think, maybe for different reasons, but yeah, Key Creative definitely a little sluggish. As much as I love Cat Profile, I really do, but, they are a little slower. SM Shark says, I don't see the incentive for GMK to do that until buying slows substantially. Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that's an interesting point, and it's going to be interesting to see how that does affect it. Like when is that slowdown going to happen, and how much will it actually affect GMK?
I'm trying to go through chat, but this is like the most talkative chat has like ever been on the show. And
This is
I'm like,
good. This is
I'm
great.
way farther back than I thought I was. I'm like scrolling still now. So sorry guys. Sorry if we skipped some of your thoughts. We definitely appreciate you guys interacting in chat. I'm just a boomer and I can't keep up.
Japan Express says, what is happening to Cat, by the way? I remember ordering Cat Refined 9 or 10 months ago, but I also don't see the Cat that was run before. So Cat's production timeline has slowed right down. They've had some challenges with a lot of the reverse dice that they've been offering for a lot of sets, and it has pushed out timescales. Cat Drifter shipped a couple of months ago. I think Cat Lich has recently shipped as well.
Yep, got mine in.
Cat Oasis has shipped to. So there are cat sets shipping. It's just taking a little bit of time to get there. I think Refined must be the next one or the one after that due to come. I don't think it's too far away in terms of the queue. So we'll see how that goes.
Mr. Petrov hasn't tried DCS. Oh, come on, Mr. P. You know better than that.
Go to Iwane's store right now.
Go to Thakis and buy DCS Nightfall, and I doubt you'll be disappointed.
Yeah. Just do it. I think you'll be very happy with that.
Yeah. I thought Mr. Petrov was like one of those people that just tried everything.
Yeah, I thought he bought everything as well. Yeah, but apparently he's not tried DCS. Interesting. 2B Pence says Cat Drifter turned out great. Yeah, I was really happy with Cat Drifter. I was very happy with that Cat Drifter.
Yeah, nice. I actually haven't put Cat Lich on a board, but I got it in quite a few weeks ago, and it looks quite lovely as well.
Yeah,
definitely love me some Cat. SM Shark, thank you so much for the tier 1 sub, man. Appreciate that.
Thanks, man. Thank you.
Ooh,
And
very
then he
he's
gets
subs as well.
Wow, what a guy. Thank you so much. Gifting 2 tier 1 subs. That's very kind of you. Thank you so much. Appreciate you guys being a part of the conversation as well.
Ooh, very nice.
Michelle C says, I'm very into neutral classic color, so I'm not worried about wait time falling out of love. Yeah, that's the train I'm on right now. The classic colorways like Modo Light and everything else. Yeah, I'm very much on that. I really enjoy EPBT and Geek as well, and most of these I stick with black, strip white, and ivory. Anyway, those are what's on my boards at the moment since they arrive much quicker. Yeah, I think no matter what profile you're using, black on white, white on black, OG 9009, those colorways are just going to last forever. They're always going to look good. They're always going to be popular. They're only going to be, they're always going to be nice on the keyboard. I think if you're buying one of those sets, it doesn't really matter how long it takes to get to you because it's always going to look good on whatever you have, right?
Yeah, I've always been a fan of the classic stuff as well. I tend to shy away from a lot of the more colorful sets. Um, I say that as I actually have like quite a few of them these days, but you can't, you got to fall back on all the good stuff, right? The 9009s, the Honeywells, the Muteds, insert any of your like beige PBTs here and stuff. It's just all too good. And I want to address this because this is hilarious. Karcha says Mr. Petrov is the only one here who has given their prototype Keeb to a monkey. And I want to say, yeah, he let me build the Allison, and yeah, so I think I'm the monkey here.
You're more of a big gorilla to me than a monkey.
Yeah, I like to yeah, maybe more of a bear even.
A bear, yeah. Brian the bear, I like it. I like it.
Mr. Petrov bought it. He bought DCS Nightfall right now. Fantastic. You're supporting
Nice.
a great vendor, and I think you're going to like the set as well. I can't wait to use mine. I'm going to hopefully put it to use on Monday's stream, actually. Either that or GMK Yugo. Should be good times. Frequency is asking, do you think Geek Arc is going to break out? Interesting.
Yeah.
I don't know if I've used a Geek Arc set yet. Who sells Geek Arc?
There's been a couple of group buys. It hasn't done massively as yet. I think there's only been one in stock buy. Yeah, I think it's going to do quite well. I think what people are waiting for on Geek Arc is to see what the quality is like. I know a lot of the vendors are waiting for the quality to come through and prove the quality before they start investing in it. So yeah, I think we'll see soon more cherry profile sets from Geek Arc. As far as I know, Geek Arc isn't who makes MT3 PBT Static Age. As far as I know, it's not them. But please prove me wrong if that's the case.
Yeah, sure. And Mr. Petrov, I know what he actually meant. I was just that joke was just too good for me to pass up. It was just too good. All right. Well, let's kind of move on in this topic as well. We've talked about a little bit the history with SA and kind of it's kind of what GMK is sort of going through right now. Let's talk a little bit more about maybe some predictions that we have, Jay. Things maybe we'd like to see moving forward.
Yeah, to preface this, Brian and I, we were talking about this before the show, and we decided that we were going to come up with some predictions on what we'd like to see in the hobby. One that we think is realistic and will come to pass. And we'll revisit these in about 6 months' time and see if we were right or whatever the timeline we put on them is. And then we also wanted to do something that was a little bit more left field.
It's a little hot takey. I'll give you that. It's a little hot takey. And I think that's totally fine. So yeah, we have some predictions, and again, me being the kind of glass half full guy that I am, I think one of my predictions is going to be that GMK really will wake up, realize that we can be an enormous portion of their overall revenue, more than they maybe have ever expected, and that they are going to do whatever they can to kind of scale up and to meet our community in such a way that we can actually get sets out and the quality's good, and people will be very happy with it, and they will continue to want to run sets with GMK instead of looking for alternatives just because of the long queue times. That's my more kind of generic take of what I want to happen. That's my positive generic take. My kind of left field take here is that we're going to see GMK launch PBT keycaps in probably the next year. I think GMK is going to want to do something to attack the PBT market. Now that we're seeing kind of Enjoy PBT and CRP gain a lot more popularity than they ever have before. I think a lot of people are starting to realize that PBT, as much as I hate to say it, kind of is a better material for keycaps. As much as I love double shot ABS, I'm typing on GMK. I own more GMK than anything else. Trust me, I am a GMK fanboy. Don't get me wrong, but at the end of the day, I think fundamentally PBT is just a better material for keycaps. Just because of the, it's a little bit more durable, and you get a little bit more longevity in terms of the quality, I would say.
Interesting.
Nothing against Shine, though. I do love me some GMK Shine.
So before we get into my predictions, just to build on that GMK PBT prediction of yours, is that where the extra machines went? The extra machines that they said they were ramping up production, is that why we haven't
I
seen
have no
them
idea.
ramp up
This
production
is
for
yeah. This
ABS? Is that
is
because they were using for PBT?
I have no like back information, right? This is just a wild hot take. I think it'd be really interesting because I mean, obviously GMK is known for their double shot ABS. That's what they've been doing for years, ever since they got the old Cherry double shot ABS molds. You know, that's their thing. That's what they do, and that's what we know and appreciate them for. But how interesting would it be if GMK joined the PBT game and started doing things outside just double shot Cherry profile ABS?
It would be interesting. It would be very interesting.
Would you guys be shocked? I'd be interested to see that. I mean, yeah, we saw Enjoy PBT move over to ABS, and now they have Enjoy ABS or whatever, or Enjoy PBT ABS, whatever they call it. You know, it wasn't super successful. I think they have a lot of issues. However, it was very affordable, and I think the issues were tolerable considering it was kind of A, their first attempt, and B, it really wasn't very expensive of a product. But I'd love to see their quality improve. How cool would that be, right? Because we don't really. I think we glossed over a question earlier in chat. Someone was talking about GMK competitors. There really aren't none, right? I mean, you can consider other manufacturers like CRP or Enjoy PBT maybe as competitors because obviously they make key sets. But in terms of actual double shot cherry profile ABS, what else do you have besides GMK, right? You have
ATK?
you have JTK, who's had a lot of issues over the years, a lot of
Sure.
issues, way more than GMK has. And you know, for a lot of those reasons, I don't buy JTK. I just flat out don't buy JTK anything because I am just not a fan of the way a lot of things have gone with them. But even so, even if JTK didn't have you know, a lot of issues that they would have, the quality is just worse than GMK, right? They fix a lot of their legend. They've had a lot of legend issues over the years. They fix some of them. Sometimes others don't get fixed. Sometimes others pop up. I feel like the quality control just isn't quite there. And I know GMK's quality control maybe has been slipping in a lot of people's eyes. But at the end of the day, their quality really is just better than JTK, and I really don't think there's any arguing that personally. So to me, it's hard to think of it as a competitor, right? But it's probably the closest thing they have to a competitor. But really, they don't see nearly as much popularity and success as GMK does. A lot of people, you know, just throw JTK to the wayside, and then you have things like Enjoy ABS, really not at the same level. It's hard to say that's comparable. No. Someone brought up Double Shot MT3. I mean, that's an entirely different profile. I'm just talking about Cherry profile here. I mean, because obviously, if you're just talking key sets, yeah, there's competitors left and right to most things these days.
Yeah, you're right. There's very few companies that do good double shot Cherry ABS profile keycaps. I tell you what I would like to see, like, and this is before we get to my predictions, but what I would like to see is those Leopold double shot PBT caps that are absolutely divine because they're proper double shot PBT. I'd love to see Leopold do some custom ABS ones. I really would like some solid custom ABS double shot keycaps. That'd be really nice. I think they'd be able to get a quality.
Yeah, Leopold honestly kind of ahead of the game in a lot of ways as far as OEMs go.
If only they didn't have a 50,000 demo queue for key sets, right?
You're right.
If only.
I've long felt that Leopold is kind of the OEM of choice right now for MX keyboards in particular. And
yeah, for me,
you're right. I mean, a lot of their keycaps are just really fantastic, especially for kind of like, you know, stock OEM keycaps.
For sure. Yeah.
Enemy's friend says he stopped buying JTK since he hasn't gotten his HSA yet, right? HSA been in the works for quite a while now.
Yeah, do you remember I had the prototype HSA set in 2019 at
you had it at the
Seattle
meetup? Yeah, that was almost 2 years ago to this day, right? It's only a few days from now that the meetup happened 2 years ago.
Wasn't it June? Wasn't it June?
It was July 27th.
27th? 19, okay, 2019. Yeah. Okay, I thought it was June, but yeah. Okay, so it's literally 2 weeks.
We're almost there. Yeah, we're almost there to the kind of 2 week mark since we were kind of teased with HSA.
Yeah, I think I'd had it about a month at that point as well. think I'd had it about a month at that point. So I probably had the HSA prototype key. I'm getting my words out. The HSA prototype keycaps 2 years ago at this point. I probably had them. Interesting. Yeah.
Fluffy Keeb says, "LOL, I joined JTK Knight Sakura. This does not fill me with confidence." Um, I don't blame you. I mean, will you get your key set? Yes, most likely. It's just a matter of when, which is kind of a running theme in the keyboard hobby. You really do have to have patience, and I think with JTK you have to have some semblance of you have to reasonably know what to expect, right? I don't think you're going to be getting an ultra high, perfect kind of key set, right? I don't think that's how JTK really works, but hopefully the price was reasonable, and hopefully you like the colors, and I think that's kind of where that's going to land.
Sure. Yeah. Okay. Moving on to my kind of predictions then.
Yeah, and sorry to interrupt you, Jay, but with this in mind, let us know your prediction as well while Jay is giving his. If you guys have predictions in the chat, whether they're reasonable, whether they're spicy, let us know. Sorry, Jay.
Yeah. So Nostradamus for a minute instead of Nostradamus. Nostradamus for a minute. My kind of semi-realistic one is that I think that GMK will finally get their new machines online by the end of this year, and that by the time we get into the middle of 2022, we'll be back down to those 8 month lead times. I think that's where we're going to end up. Like a year from now, I think GMK will have everything under control and we'll be back down to 8 month lead times. Whether that's kind of enveloped by a drop in popularity over the next few months, or whether things keep going as they are, I think either way, GMK will still get on top of everything, and they will finally get back down to a reasonable 8 month timeline by the middle of next year. I think that's where we'll see it.
Yeah.
My hot take is that in the meantime, DCS is going to be the new king. DCS, this is the start of the rise of DCS. You've seen the movie Rise of the Terminator, right? This is the start of the rise of DCS. We are going to see more DCS every single month between now and the end of the year. There's going to be in-stock DCS. There's going to be group buy DCS. There's going to be some great colorways in DCS. DCS is the future.
Wow. This is an outrageously spicy take, I think, and I'm totally okay with it. So the interesting thing about DCS is, like, it's really never had its time to shine, right? Like, back in 2015, 2016, I guess it's, back earlier in 2014, maybe, we saw DCS sets. It's not like it wasn't ran, right? It definitely had several sets, several colorways run, but it's never really been popular, right? Not in the same way that, like, DSA and SA and GMK have been, right? Those have just enjoyed a lot more popularity, in their kind of respective time frames. But DCS has never really had that kind of community surge. It died out a lot as GMK started to rise and SA started to rise, because a lot of people just didn't like DCS because, quote unquote, it's too thin. But that's how it's designed. It's not supposed to be a 1.5 millimeter thick ABS keycap like GMK. It's not. It's supposed to be a different thickness and a different profile, and it's both of those things. And that doesn't make it bad, because the quality of DCS actually is quite high if you really think about it. They have very few issues with their DCS caps. The sets always come out really nice. They come out as expected, which you can't really say for a lot of other manufacturers or profiles. So I think, while that's definitely a spicy take, I think that'd be really interesting to see. I would love to see DCS start to kind of take over the mantle. I think it's probably unlikely to happen, just because of the way a lot of people in the community view DCS, which is the wrong way. But I would love to see DCS really start to make a comeback. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I think I see more talk about DCS now than we ever have done before. And whilst I might be being a bit glib by saying it's going to be the new king profile, I do think we are going to see a bit of a rise. I think we're going to see, a lot more people consider DCS as a viable option for their keycap set that they're designing, rather than necessarily just defaulting to GMK. So yeah, I do think we will see it.
Yeah. SM Shark says DCS Nightfall shilling coming out in full force. Hey man, DCS is great, Nightfall is great, and the vendor that sells it is great. I mean, what more do you want? Let's see what chat is thinking here, because I saw a couple interesting things from chat. Gendia says GMK is going to move away from plastic and go all in making aluminum keycaps. Wow, could you imagine? I thought I was being spicy saying GMK is going to start doing PBT, but this viewer thinks GMK might start doing aluminum. That'd be quite an interesting turn of events.
I wonder if Mike got Gmk to make Alluvia. I wonder if that's where it came
No
from.
way, no way.
No,
If
it didn't. It didn't.
look,
It didn't.
yeah, if those were made by see GMK's name alone is a selling point, right? Like if something is
Sure,
manufactured by
yeah,
GMK, you put that in the title.
for
Um,
sure.
Yeah, interesting. Surex says, I got a JTK grab bag, and that was fun. Got a bootleg Coca-Cola spacebar and a bootleg Counter-Strike spacebar. Many other fine keys, though.
Nice.
I remember those sets. I used to have JTK Coca-Cola. I don't think they called it that.
Wow.
They called it just red on white, I think. But it had, like, the Coca-Cola
Yeah, it was
spacebar.
Coca-Cola. Yeah,
Really, really questionable choices. That was back in the earlier dark days of JTK when the quality really was truly, truly awful. Where like the C and like the G legends in particular were like 3 times larger, thicker
yeah.
rather than like all the other keys. It was a nightmare. I mean, the one benefit of JTK back then is it was just absurdly cheap. I think I got in a group buy at like $55 or $60. Which I eventually got a refund for 2 years later because my set never shipped. Shout out to JTK, love that stuff. Actually, I guess more shout out to ControlAlt.io, which definitely struggled to run some group buys historically.
Yeah, for sure.
Um,
Sure.
Anyways, shit talk aside, let's see what else chat is saying here. Static Age says DCS paperwork is going to kick it all off. People are going to see how great it is and go nuts for it. Interesting. DCS paperwork.
Yeah, I think DCS paperwork will look all right. I think there's a couple of other ones. DCS Honeywell is a big favorite of mine. I've got my eyes on that one. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, definitely. Sturek asking when is G20 coming back. That
Oh man, hopefully never.
I should run a G20 set.
No,
How meme is that? People would buy
no,
that, right? People would buy it just
no,
because it's a meme. Like it's not good to type on, but
no. If any profile should die, it's G20.
I'm willing to bet. Okay, if we have 88 viewers in chat right now currently, I would bet that out of the 88 viewers that we currently have, I would say less than 5 of them, no, less than, I'm going to say 3 or fewer people have actually typed on a full set of G20. Not just getting 1 or 2 caps in a grab bag, but like actually typed on a full set of G20.
Let's do a poll. Let's do
Do
a
a
poll.
poll. I'm curious, but you guys have to be honest, right? Because we can't obviously know if you're lying or not. So you guys have to be honest if we're doing a poll here. Who here has actually typed on G20 profile, like genuinely typed for like longer than a minute? Because I'm curious. I'd be willing to bet that very few, if any, people in chat have actually typed on it. There were very few actual like colorways launched in G20. It was very much a minor thing that I think most people don't even know. I bet very few people have even heard of G20. At least half of our viewers probably right now have never even heard of G20. They have no idea what we're talking about.
Yeah. So the poll is up. Be honest. Be completely honestly honest. The only I've typed on G20 a couple of times, but the only set that I ever owned of G20 was the one with all of the random legends on the flags and all sorts of different bits and pieces. I can't remember what that one was called.
Mm. Yeah,
I,
there was
oh,
kind of like wasn't there like an alien kind of
yeah, it had
set?
loads of flags and
It's
aliens
not
and
symbiosis. What was it called?
yeah, it
Was
might.
it
Is the oh,
symbiosis?
no, I think it might be
All right,
G20.
I'll look this up.
Symbiotic.
Symbiotic. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the. I can't even like find this. Um, oh my god, G20 is just so like unpopular.
I forgot they did G20 stealth set as well. I forgot they did that one.
Oh my god, this is just yeah. Okay, let's see what the poll is looking at. So currently, 3 people have said yes, I have, and I hope you're being honest. Shout outs to you guys if you're being honest. And 34 people have said no. What's G20? Yeah, I am not at all surprised. I mean, why would you know what G20 is? We haven't had a G20 set in many, many years. No one's even liked G20, right? It was a meme. Even like 6, 7 years ago, it was a meme. And very, very, very few sets have actually been running it. It's a very flat, low profile kind of affair. Definitely different from other flat profiles. It's not really like XDA or DSA or anything. It's not very cupped. It's like legitimately just a flat top keycap, and it's low profile, very low. So it's quite different from everything else that we kind of have in the community. It's not really comparable to anything else, but I will say I did type on it for about a week. I was able. I had. I got a bunch of grab bags at one point. Or actually, the girl that I was dating at the time bought a bunch of grab bags, and I pretty much just grabbed all the G20 caps from it, and like I made a full board of G20 out of it because we just had so many random caps, and I typed on it for about a week, and it was genuinely awful, right? Like it feels bad. Like it just doesn't feel good in any way. So it'd be really interesting to see G20 kind of come back here. Still, we're at 3 people saying they have typed on it, which was within my estimation. By the way,
the percentages are skewy on this. It says 8% have used it and 93% haven't used it on my screen. That the math doesn't add up. There, 8% and 93%. That doesn't add up. That's 100%.
Oh, really? For me, it says 7. It says 7 and 93 for me.
Okay.
It's just busted. It's just busted. IP9932 says I had that set. Yeah, you've been in the hobby for a while. I definitely know you've probably been around the G20 kind of. I don't even want to call it a phase because like it's never really had a phase, but like that timeline, that era. Sturek is saying you're talking about semiotic. Oh, okay. Is that the one I was thinking of?
Yeah, I posted a link to the set in a few minutes ago. So if you guys want to take a look, you can click on that link. But yeah, that was the semiotic set. So it had like loads of like flags and God knows what else. And yeah, it was kind of an interesting set to say the least.
It's very different. Honestly though, I think it looks kind of cool. Like aesthetically, visually, I think it looks pretty cool. I really do.
Like if semiotic came back as like DSA or DSS, I'd probably buy that.
Probably. Yeah. Cool. Yeah. G20 sounds like a car model. Yeah, that's fair.
G-Wagon.
Oh my gosh. Several people in chat are saying they don't even know what it is. What is G20? Yeah, I totally understandable. Yeah. I think a lot of people that even know what it is probably forgot it exists until we started talking about it today. It's something you certainly haven't seen in many years, and even then you didn't really see it. So it's never had any kind of success, I would say.
I wonder how many sets of G20 signature plastics have actually sold. Like it can't be huge numbers.
No.
No. Do you it's because they've done a few colorways. They did the stealth colorway, they did the blanks, and they did semiotic, and they did a couple of others. I think. I wonder if they even hit 1,000 sets across that whole profile. I'd be interested to see.
Yeah, we're currently up to 4 people that say they have typed on G20 before. Interesting. All right, polls over. Wow. So yeah, big 91% to 9%. In favor of never having typed on or not even knowing what G20 is, which is totally understandable. Trust me when I say you're not missing out. But it is a piece of the keyboard history too, and you know it's cool to learn these things.
For sure, yeah. It doesn't even feature on KeyCaplender as a selectable profile. That's how little we see it. Like it's not even on KeyCaplender.
Semiotic was probably the last time we saw it. That was like what 2016. Like that was probably the last time like G20 has even ran. Karcha says if someone runs G20 Carbon, he'll have to buy it. Interesting. I think almost regardless of what colorway it is, if we saw a G20 set run in 2021, I think I would probably have to buy it too, just for the sake of owning one.
Just because, yeah.
Even though I know I wouldn't like to type on it. It's like SA too, right? Like I don't like to type on SA, but I think SA looks good, and I think it's totally fine for me to own some to show off. But like I don't actually want to type on it, and I feel kind of similarly about G20. It has a really interesting aesthetic, and I think that you could potentially do a lot of interesting things with like Not only just the colors, but like the keycap designs. Like obviously, you look at something like Semiotic. That's a pretty wild key set, especially for 2016, right? There's a lot going on there. It's quite different. Pretty polarizing, I'll give you that. But like, if you can do that on G20, because of the way the keycaps are shaped, they have like that truly fully flat top, and they very gently slope over the kind of edges. It almost looks like the keycaps are like there's no gaps between them, right? It's a very interesting kind of aesthetic, and because of that. In PBT in particular, obviously, you could probably take advantage of that to do some very interesting designs over an entire key set.
Sure, yeah, for sure. I 100% agree. You could do some really cool stuff with it. I just don't think it would be popular enough
No.
or comfortable enough to use to bring it back.
There's no way. It'll never be popular. If G20 will flat out never be popular. It's just not possible.
I'm going to set a challenge. I will give someone, if they can do this, a decimal or something. I'll give someone a prize if they can show me a timestamped picture of them using G20 keycaps within the next week. Before we do the show this time next week, if someone can send me a timestamped picture of them using a G20 semiotic keycap set, then I will give them a decimal. The blanks don't count. It has to be semiotic.
It has to be semiotic.
Yeah.
Well, that's a fun game. Okay. So to all of you, probably one or maybe one semiotic owners in chat, I'd be willing to say 0 people in chat own semiotic, and I think that's a pretty safe bet. I think saying 1 is quite generous. But yeah, I wonder if people will be looking to buy G20 not only to try it out and meme on it, but also to just get free stuff from you.
Maybe, yeah. Like if one person can DM me a timestamp picture of them typing on it by this time next week, I will give them some free stuff. Like I'll give them a bag of swag. I'll make it nice stuff as well.
SM Shark says he's driving up to Custer, Washington to get them. BRB. Yeah, shout out to all my Washingtonian peeps in the chat. Yeah, Signature Plastics in Washington for those of you that didn't know. So.
Yeah, just a couple of hours north of you, right?
Yeah, just a couple hours away. I've never been there. I feel like...
Oh.
How
have you not been?
You know, so for one of our meetups a couple years ago, we reached out to them and we were like, hey, like, could we potentially A, have a meetup here, or B, like, maybe take some people through a tour here, like, just like a handful of keyboard enthusiasts, and just kind of see what the process is about, right? Because it's kind of cool to see the behind the scenes stuff, rather. And
Sure.
we were turned away. We got the big fat no on that, so that was kind of unfortunate because I thought that would have been really cool. I mean, to be honest, like they're not really in a very ideal location for a lot of people in Washington. They're kind of in like a city that is kind of minor and not really talked about. They're very far away, from Seattle, right? Like they're on like another part of Washington, basically. So yeah, Merlin did a tour alone. Did he? Yeah, maybe they.
I thought it was Norbauer that went, not Merlin. I could be wrong. Maybe Merlin did as well.
I think Norbauer did. I think you're right about that. Maybe they're more okay with like 1 or 2 people doing tours, but they don't want to do like anything any larger.
Sure. Yeah.
Static Age actually posting a link to buy G20 PBT blanks. Interesting. I didn't realize these were even sold at all.
You can still get the blanks. Yeah. Yeah. I think you can still get the stealth keycap set as well, but it has to be semiotic for the bet. Japan Trust, is Melissa still around? Yeah, Melissa's still there. Yeah.
Yeah, Norbauer definitely did. Yeah. All right, guys. Well, we're gonna kind of slowly move over to a Q&A segment where we can, of course, still discuss all things GMK related or keyboard related or elsewhere. But we're gonna talk about our sponsors for just a moment here. While you guys get some questions started for us, and then we can roll into our Q&A, and then we can answer some questions before we head off for a hopefully lovely night. So, just gonna kind of get that up and roll. I was totally not prepared for this, apparently. All right, there we go. Just live stream things. It's just how it works. So yeah, we have starting off with the one, the only, the novel keys. You know them, you probably love them. Have a few things going on right now, including first and foremost Gmk Oblivion V3.1, arguably the most popular IDE key set theme. in the community. So GMK Oblivion, there you go. If you missed out on one of its previous runs, here you go. You can get it again. Good stuff. Definitely one of the nicer key sets in the community, I would say. And of course, Novel Keys has the whole host of accoutrements to go along with it. So if you're maybe looking for an Oblivion themed NK65, bam, he's got you covered. Good stuff there. Desk mats, and probably Jay and I's particular favorite, this Rama M6C. Looks really, really lovely with that front design there. I kind of just want to. I don't want to buy the key set because I've owned Oblivion already, and I know it's not really for me. But the M6C, I kind of just want to buy just to have because it's so freaking beautiful. Lots of other things there as well. So if you're looking for switches, stabilizers, springs, films, lube, he's probably got you covered. Lots of things going on there. And if you're buying in stock, use promo code Clack, one word. It'll get you 5% off your order, and it'll show that you have special feelings for either myself or Jay.
Ooh. Woo.
Woo, lad. Yeah, that's right.
Coming up next is our second sponsor of the day. It is the wonderful people over at Kono.store. They've got a few things going on right now, including a very, very cute set. It's
Really cute.
EPBT axolotls. I hope I'm saying that right. So if you've seen these
Close
cute
enough.
little critters around, there is now now a full keycap dedicated to them. Not only does it have all the keycaps that you need to show your love for the creatures, but there's even some cool death mats as well. So definitely check that out. As well as that, they also have GMK Shadow in group buy right now as well. So if you like something a little bit more dark, a little bit more somber, looking mighty fine there on a JO2, I must say, then maybe GMK Shadow will be more up your street. If you're looking for a keyboard, then maybe the Kono 84, which Brian has one now, which is a very, very cheap bare bones hot swap, 75%. It has a ton of features, like it's got Bluetooth, it's got backlighting, it's got hot swap, it's got a CNC case, it's high profile, right?
Yeah.
All for $65. It's like unbelievable value.
Yeah, I'll definitely be showing mine off on stream once we decide to put some switches in it here in the near future. But yeah, very interesting board. A lot of features for a fairly low price, and that this is like the in stock price too. It was actually $10 cheaper during the pre-order, which was nuts. So many features for such a low price.
Sure, it's unbelievably low price. And finally, if you're interested in switches, they do have the Kono Midnight switches, which Brian, you were kind of interested by when you talked about as well last week.
I am absurdly interested in these. These are definitely one of the more unique MX switches I've felt in a while, and quite possibly, I know I might get some flack for saying this, but this might be the closest to Topra I've ever felt MX. Full disclosure, though, I only own one of these switches right now. I'm waiting for more to arrive. I'd already asked for more. As soon as I tried one, I hit up Andrew, and I was like, look, you got to send me more of these. And he's like, okay, we'll get some out to you as soon as we can. So I have more of those on the way. I have no idea when they're arriving, but this is actually a lot more hype than I think people might think. Sorry to interrupt you there, Jay, but I really am interested in these.
Not at all. Next up, we have KBD fans. So
Yeah, KBD fans. Several things going on right now. Just like I mentioned earlier, tons and tons of Enjoy PBT lately, so probably a colorway for you. Especially the group buy for the round 3 of Kuroshiro by Geek. Definitely one of the most popular Enjoy PBT sets to ever exist. Now, obviously, seeing its very successful round 3. Love that. Good stuff. They also have the group buy open for the Mountain Ergo right now, which is a pretty nice looking kind of Alice-themed keyboard. It's a little tented in the middle, which I think is quite nice, and has a very, very delightful wrist rest along with it. So that's definitely something to check out if you're interested in that. It starts at... this configuration's 420, LOL, but I think it does have a cheaper one. There you go. Solderable PCB drops it by $25, so you save a little bit of money there. Hashtag value. I love to see it. They also have kind of a newer coming soon section, which I am really appreciative of. I always like seeing this kind of thing. So lots of GMK and Enjoy PBT in the very near future. So good stuff there. And if maybe you're new to the hobby, this is a great place to come check out and buy some inexpensive things, rather. They have lots of things in stock whether you're looking for switches or, keycaps, PCBs, plates, cases. This is just about as one-stop shop as it gets in the keyboard community, especially if you're new to the community and you maybe don't want to spend a ton of money. They have a lot of very inexpensive options and a lot of more budget-friendly and entry-level options as well. So it's a great place to start out if you're just looking for some knickknacks and such. Sorry about the dog barking in the background.
And moving over to our final sponsor of the day, it is the amazing Leandrin over at Mechanisk.co. Store is back open, but there's not much up for sale at the moment. The reason behind that is because he's still in the process of restocking after an incredibly successful Clipper and Fiel group buy earlier on this year. So everything will be coming back. It's just going to take a little bit of time. That being said, he is still running Tastator.no, which is the Norwegian store, where he's running a load of local key set group buys as well. So you can also pick up, if you're in Norway, you can pick up things like Gmk Moomin, which starts just this week.
Oof, yeah. Hype set, man. That's a hype set. I'm really looking forward to Mechanisk kind of reopening here as well. Obviously, they're open right now, but like you mentioned, he's still kind of catching up from the pre-order stuff, and he's getting ready to launch a bunch of new stuff as well, from what it seems like. So once they do reopen, I think it's going to be a pretty big deal, and I'm very much looking forward to it, especially now that he has the physical location in Oslo going, and it seems to be pretty nice so far. So very much looking forward to that. All right, guys.
Sure, yeah.
Let's see what you guys are saying. What kind of questions you have. Of course, keep getting the questions in if you have any questions for us. Please use the tag as well, @TopClack, so we can pick them out of chat a little bit easier. Appreciate that, everyone. So, SM Shark says, did you say, quote-unquote, a little bit more Sombra? And I think he's making an Overwatch joke, because there's a character named Sombra in Overwatch.
I think completely went over my head.
Yeah. No, I think Jay said, or at least meant Somber. But, pretty close. Because it means shadow.
Yeah.
Oh, it does mean shadow.
That's exactly what I was. Yeah.
So okay, so Jay's actually next level. He's way more big brain than all of us, and we're still catching up from this.
I don't know. I missed the Overwatch reference.
That's fine. Yeah, you're not an Overwatch player. I think he missed the Overwatch reference too, because I think he just is translating it to shadow. When I see Sombra, I immediately think Overwatch because I'm an Overwatch player, but obviously that won't make sense for a lot of people in chat. Enemy's friend says, I have 6 boards with Oblivion on here that disagree with you. 6 boards with Oblivion.
Wow. That's,
Oblivion's one of the... What do you mean you disagree with me? I was talking about how it's the most popular IDE key set. Of course, it's highly successful.
You said you didn't want it, though. You said you weren't going to buy it. I think that's what
I said. I wasn't going to buy it because I've already owned it in the past, and it's not really for me. I don't really need the IDE themed sets because they're a little too many colors for me, right? Like, this is why I don't buy things like Dracula, Nord, and all the others that have kind of like the tons of different colors. Yeah, I think Nord looks good. I think the sets look fine. It's a little too much for me. I prefer the much more boring and mundane, like 2 or 3 color sets versus a lot of the other ones out there. But I mean, yeah, Oblivion is no doubt incredibly popular. I mean, it's on its 3rd run at least, so in multiple profiles even. Like it's one of the more successful key sets.
Yeah, I think my hot take on Oblivion is I prefer the light alphas. I prefer the Hagoramo alphas rather than the dark ones, but I'm sure I'll get lambasted for liking that version of the set more. But...
Static H says, I wish the Mountain Ergo was in QMK. I'm sure it'll end up in QMK at some point, right? You just gotta send one to Mech Merlin, right? You just gotta send a board to Mech Merlin, let him use it for a while, maybe give him a little money or send him some treats or something, and be like, please, Mr. Mech Merlin Wizard, sir.
Don't worry, I bought one Static Age. I bought a spare PCB just so I could send it to Mech Merlin. So it will happen.
You're always playing 4D chess, Jay. I love it. Unbelievable. Ever since someone told me that the angle of the 2 halves of the mountain is not the same, I cannot unsee it. That's fair.
Yeah, it's like 7 on one side and 3 on the other, I think, degrees, I think, on the 10, I think.
That's a little different,
Something
that's for
like
sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm excited for it, though. I'm interested to try it out and see how it works. It may be not for me, it might be for me, who knows. We'll try it out either way.
Totally, yeah. Karcha says, I'd love to see more of the Mechanisk builds you have. Also, sell me a Type X case. I only have the one Type X case, and I am not selling it. Leandrin was kind enough to send over that as well as some other boards for me. So I don't really want to. I don't want to sell those. I also really like the Type X. I think the Type X is pretty good.
Yeah, it's a good board.
I mean, it's very simple, but I think it accomplishes very well. But as far as seeing more Mechanist builds, you're going to see a lot more Mechanist builds from me because I've been rebuilding my entire keyboard collection. And I actually, I just the other day, you can't see it right now because there's a big box in front of it, but I desoldered my Tind. So my Tind is going to be getting some new switches in the near future, as well as my Clippa S, which I'm going to be desoldering in the near future. That's going to get rebuilt. My Type X might get rebuilt. My Clippa and some other boards are going to be rebuilt as well. So lots and lots and lots of rebuilds. A lot of them Mechanist, just because like a quarter of my collection is Mechanist boards. So yeah, definitely always join me for Mental Health Mondays, 4 p.m. Pacific, and you'll probably see a lot of Mechanist boards in the near future. I actually reached out to Leandrin last week, and I was like, hey, like I'm gonna be rebuilding a lot of Mechanist boards. Like, do you want to come on the stream and chill with me, like, and talk about these boards while I'm rebuilding them?
Nice.
Because
That'd be really
I'm
cool.
sure, like you remember, Jay, we had that dual build stream when we got our Tins in. We had Leandrin on. It was an awesome stream. It really was.
It was really good.
It was a great time. It was super informative. The builds came out super well. We liked the boards, and then the VOD got lost to the abyss. So nobody knows. Only the people that were there know how good of a stream that was, and that was a really big bummer. I really hated losing that VOD. I blame Twitch, as I often do. But yeah, that was kind of a bummer. So I'd love to kind of give him another chance to come back in and hopefully kind of talk about more things. Because Leandrin's a super nice guy, very, very smart. And it's always kind of cool to see the backstory on some of these boards, because I feel like, you know, some people talk about things like the Fiel and the Clippa, and, you know, maybe the Tind a little bit more recently, but no one really talks about a lot of the more lesser known boards, like the Type X and the Clippa S, for example. A lot of people don't even realize those boards exist. So it's always kind of interesting to get a little bit more backstory on kind of how Mechanist is going and their thought process behind some of the boards. And then, of course, we talked to him about his new physical shop in Oslo, too. That'd be a really fun time.
Yeah, it's really cool. I can't wait to see more pictures of it.
Yeah, absolutely. SM Shark says Overwatch was the reason. Okay. I don't know who's an Overwatch player, all right? I'm sorry. Anyways, he also follows up with a question asking, what's the most positive / heartening thing you've seen in the hobby in the past few weeks? The most positive thing we've seen in the past few weeks.
One of my friends who I know through keyboards invited me to his wedding, and that really cheered me up.
Oh,
He's getting
very
married,
cool. Very cool.
and he invited me to his wedding. Yeah, it was really, really cool.
Most positive thing. I feel like I see a lot of positive things. I feel like I see a lot of positive people around, which is good. It's hard to pick out just one thing. I think I would have to say, shout out to, I don't know if he's watching, but Frostfire. He knows I've been looking for a RamaWorks Kara for a while, because I'm trying to put together this kind of list of, like, quote-unquote entry-level boards that are kind of, you know, less expensive. And I kind of want to, like, go, I kind of want to get the same, I haven't really told anyone about this yet, actually, but I guess I'm just talking about it now. I kind of want to get, like, a shit ton of one Switch, and I want to do, like, a completely level comparison between a lot of, like, the kind of entry-level boards that we've been seeing. So, like, you know, the Kara, the KBD67 Lite, you know, the Bakeneko, the NK65, all those, like, that caliber of board, that, like, very, like, sub-200 class board, sub-100 class board in some cases, and kind of put those head-to-head. And, you know, using, like, the same switches, the same loops, the same stabilizers, the same keycaps, like, a lot of the same, so that way the only variable is actually the keyboard itself. I want to do kind of a long stream / video comparison of all these entry-level products. And I think that's going to be a really fun time. But anyways, long rant aside, I've been looking for a RamaWorks Kara, because that's one of the few that I don't own, actually. And shout out to Frostfire, who's selling me his brand new, just came in at group buy pricing. So big shout outs to him.
Nice.
Yeah, very happy about that. So I thought that was pretty positive. Whenever people, like, know that I'm looking for things, and they're like, hey, like, I'll sell you this and you can have it for retail. And I'm like, jackpot. Yes, please. Thank you so much. Sign me up. I will buy it right now. So very, very happy about that. Shout out to Frostfire. Really, really appreciate that.
I'll have to send you one of the Icky Aurora 68s as well, so you can test all of these kind of boards out.
I forgot about the EK68. That is another popular one, kind of in that category, right?
Yeah, they should be shipping out to vendors soon. I'll send you one over.
Awesome. I'd love that. Thank you. Oof. I'm excited, man. Because, like, this is my realm, right? The fancy stuff is fancy. Sure, it's cool, it's premium, it's expensive, but I feel like the true heart of keyboards is really in that kind of sub $200 class of stuff, like, that everyone can kind of afford. Yeah. Anyways, back to the questions. Sorry about that, guys. Enemy's friend is saying, "How about Oblivion monochrome?" I think I do. So when I did own Oblivion, I did own the monochrome version, and yes, I do prefer that. But I'm just I'm what I'm gonna call a base kit Betty. All right, I like base kits. I don't like having to buy more than just a base kit for a set, because oftentimes my upper limit of budget is the cost of a GMK base kit already. So I have to be very picky and choosy. With that said, I haven't really been buying GMK key sets in general. I haven't really buying key sets in general lately. I should have got it on CRP round 4. That was a big mistake from me. But yeah, other than that, I haven't really bought key sets lately. So I don't know. I just don't really care anymore about colors. So when I buy key sets, it's more to like support designers and vendors that I like, and less about, and sometimes about themes as well. If it's something kind of sentimental to me. But these days, I rarely, like, color is like the last reason I buy a key set, which is like the weirdest sounding thing ever, because it's usually the first reason everyone else buys it.
I think that's completely fair and valid opinions.
Yeah.
Color isn't the main reason why you buy a keycap set. I think that's fine.
Yeah. Doctor Owned is asking, why all the rebuilds, just for fun? I guess you could say there's a couple reasons. One is just for fun, sure, that's fair. 2 would be because, admittedly, I'm not completely happy with most of my keyboard collection. Like, I think the boards are nice. Like, I think I have a lot of nice things, don't get me wrong, but, like, when I finished a build, I'm very critical about it. And I feel like oftentimes it didn't really come out the way that I want, if I'm being totally honest, and I feel like it could be better. So it's more of like my first time building a board is almost like a test drive, right? You don't know if that's the best the board can be, because you've only tried it in this one configuration. So I'm really trying to look for more variety, right? I'm trying to effectively breathe more life, new life, different life into my keyboards. So, a lot of the tactile builds, now I'm swapping to linear. A lot of the linear builds, I'm swapping to tactile. I'm using a lot of new switches that I haven't tried before. Trying different, I've been using new lubes lately. Different plate materials and stuff. I've been trying to switch a lot of things up lately, just to kind of, again, just breathe new life into keyboards, because it's really easy to buy like one keyboard, build it, and like you're set, right? You're done, and that's cool and that's fine. But really, that's only the start of the journey, right? A keyboard can be very different depending on the configuration you have inside of it. So I think it's kind of worth exploring to experience and gain more knowledge by just building and rebuilding keyboards, honestly.
Sure.
And the final reason is, honestly, it gives me an excuse to do keyboard stuff every week, because I'm trying to hold myself a little bit more accountable. I have a bad issue with things like procrastination and similar things. So I often will set keyboard projects aside, and I just won't get to them for 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, whatever. I've been terrible at that historically, and that's something I'm trying to correct. And being able to just get on stream at least once a week on Mondays, and like make sure I'm doing keyboard stuff that day for a couple hours, right? I get stuff done, and that's really good for me. So it's as much an excuse as a mental boost for me, and to hold myself kind of responsible as it is anything else, to be honest with you.
That's a good thing, though. I think that's giving you opportunity to enjoy products that you have and stuff that you have. I think it's a good thing.
Ooh,
yeah, definitely.
Nice.
And I'm glad you mentioned that too, because I have been like enjoying the hobby more lately because of that. Because like boards can be different than I thought they could be, just based on the configuration inside of them. And it's kind of like, I only own, my collection is pretty vast. I mean, it's not yours, obviously, but I have a good 30 customs or so, which is quite nice. And most of them I've only ever seen one build configuration before. And because of that, I feel like I've maybe missed out on some experiences that I could have otherwise had with those boards. And because of that, I feel like now's a good time to kind of rebuild things and just make them different, right? Because the same keyboard can be different. And it's kind of like it's all
over time as well, right? Like what you liked 2 years ago might not be what you like anymore. Like,
exactly.
You might prefer a different build.
Absolutely, yeah. So lots of reasons I'm kind of doing that, but overall, it's been a great time. It's been well received, and I've been having a lot of fun with it. So definitely shout outs to all of you that have been coming around on Mondays, 4 p.m. Pacific, and hanging out with me. It's been a really good time, and we've been getting a lot of stuff done too. It's been really awesome.
That's good. Awesome. Huey, thank you so much for the 22 months of subs, man. Thank you so much. Really appreciate that. Thank you, dude.
Thank you, Huey. Appreciate that, man. We got Harsha in the stream. Says Quakem Shelf is scaring me. It's a little messy right now. I need to get more keyboard stands. I need to get actually more shelves because I can't show off as many keyboards per shelf as I'd like to. Right now it's kind of like half storage. That's why they're just lined up, and then half display. And then the other the other one has other issues as well. But yeah. Thank you so much, Harsha, for stopping by. Big shout out to Harsha. Anyone in the Overwatch community might know who Harsha is, but he's getting back into keyboards, and it feels good, man. Always love to see esports and keyboards crossover. That's like always been one of my favorite things. So shout out to Harsha.
Nice. Yeah, I think he says that your shelves look tilted on the stream. I think it's just the way the camera lens is, so it's distorting the background. So it's nice and focused on Brian. It's distorting the background, so the shelves look like they tilt inwards. Both of them from the outside look like tilt inwards. It's just the way that the fisheye lens is working on the camera. That's all.
It's just the camera. I am just admittedly terrible at like AV stuff for the most part, so I don't know. I'm likely going to be moving soon anyways, and like all of this is going to change, and then I'll probably try to like actually set up something nice and fundamental like Jay and a lot of the other streamers have these days. I realize I'm lacking on my AV game. I want to get a new mic as well. I was actually I was chatting with Alex Odos recently in DMs, and I was trying to pick his brain on some kind of nice entry level equipment that I could potentially be in the market for.
Nice.
Yeah. SM Shark says, I gotta run, but really enjoyed this stream. Have a great weekend. Thank you so much, SM Shark. Appreciate it, man. All the subs that you gifted as well, and that you subbed yourself. Appreciate that so much, man. Hope you have a good weekend yourself. It's definitely be a good one for me. I'm going to a food truck festival tomorrow, Jay.
Ooh, that sounds good.
It's gonna be exciting. Yeah. Karcha is asking, Jay, is your Borsdorf at hand? Mind showing it off a bit? Some colors are actually shipping soon. Wants to see your Borsdorf, which is a euphemism of Idaho.
Yeah, I have two of them. One's with a friend, Gouty, here in the UK. He's looking after one for me. The other one is in a box somewhere in the workshop, so it's not far from me, but getting it out might take a little while, I'm afraid.
Fair enough. Borsdorf, man. That really is a lovely board, though. My gosh. Sturak asking, has anyone tried the Gazoo lubing method with one drop from a dropper bottle on each rail? That seems like way more lube than I'd want to use personally. With that said, I've never tried it, but that sounds like a lot of lube. But hey, maybe that's just my opinion.
Laligator says, I'm giving up hope of seeing the ISO cult. It's here.
The ISO cult? Yeah,
the ISO cult. It's here. There you go.
Look at that. That's the #2 Phantom Edition, right? Or whatever?
Yeah, #2 Phantom Edition, solid breast base.
My gosh. I never get tired of seeing that.
Yeah, SA Phantom on there as well.
I see thousands of dollars like pouring off your off your #2 right there. These are tears of joy, says the Laligator. Fair enough. People interested in the food truck festival. Yeah, no, it's exciting. I haven't been to a food truck festival in many years, so there happens to be one local to me, like literally 5 minutes down the road from me tomorrow. So I'm very excited.
I wish I was there with you, Brian. I wish I was there with you.
I wish you were too. It'd be cool to just bring a bunch of keyboard peeps along. There's not enough keyboard people in my like immediate area. There's only like one or two. It's kind of unfortunate. All the Seattle people need to like come over to my side of the water and come hang out with me.
That's fun.
Anyways, it seems like we've more or less caught up on the questions, and now seems like a pretty good time to find someone to raid.
Yeah, let's have a look and see who's online.
Yeah. Of course, if you guys have any suggestions, feel free to put those in the chat as well. Agent Hubcap says, "Okay, Brian, I'm on my way. Are you in the Seattle area? Come on over. Let's go to food trucks. Although I don't know if tickets are still available. I got my tickets like a week ago." All right, so we have Disastertron. We got
Apiaries online. Checking out Makers and Crafting real quick.
Sam Pack is streaming, doing a 7v build. Disastertron is doing a 7v unboxing. We've got Zinzin doing a midway 60.
Hmm.
Um,
Let's see.
we've got Yuri doing a Montanado. Oh, no, he's doing an Irie. Irie. It was in Spanish. I
Uh.
didn't realize.
Oh, okay. I was trying to find that. Okay, that makes a lot more sense. We also have Alex Happy. I'm not familiar with a lot of these people. I got to be honest. How about we go with Sam Pack?
Yeah,
I
let's
mean,
do Sam
who doesn't love seeing a 7v build, right?
for sure, right?
It's a pretty lovely keyboard. All right, guys. So stick around for this raid. We'll go over there, and even if you don't stick around, just let's go over there. Say something wholesome. Say something nice. You know, it only takes a couple words to make someone's day, brighten up their day a lot better. You're a lot more powerful than you realize. So yeah, let's go over. Let's try to be nice and have a good time, whether you stick around there or not. I've never watched this streamer before, but hopefully we get some nice content here as well. So I'm gonna go ahead and queue up this raid, guys. Thank you all so much for watching. Any closing thoughts, Jay?
No, just thank you for everyone for being here, and let's enjoy the raid with Sam.
Yeah, absolutely. So, guys, once again, obviously, thank you so much. We appreciate it. Links below the stream if you want to come join our Discord or potentially some other outlets. Yeah, make sure to tune in every Friday, 1 p.m. Pacific. That's when we do this kind of discussion show. Sometimes it's pretty free form. Sometimes we play games within keyboards as well as other things. So anything can happen on Fridays. You never know. But Mondays, 4 p.m. Pacific. Is always a good time. That's my mental health Monday streams. We do some building, we do some keyboard work, and we kind of build each other up, talk about mental health issues, and things we can do to hopefully improve upon that, because it is a pretty big deal, both in our community and throughout the world. So it's something to keep in mind. And yeah, let's get ready to raid, guys. Thank you all so much. Let's go over.
See you guys.